We've already done some detective work here and determined that the tempo of this music is 96 beats a minute. Let's pretend we didn't do that. Reach over here and set this back to 120, like we just arrived here at 120 and we have no idea what this piece has really got inside of it. So let's play it. We need to mute our instrument that's playing now at the wrong tempo. So I want 2 bars of this. I like 2 bars as opposed to 1 bar because I think it gives you more accurate reading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I'm right, it's this little area right here. And ignore the 3, 2 here. That's based on 120 beats a minute. We know that's wrong. I'm just looking at the waveform for now. I think it's there, but I'm just going to watch and listen again. So it's that little wall right there. I'm going to make an edit, Command E, just like all edits. And I'll just toss this little piece away. I don't need it for now. And I want to loop this to be sure that I've selected an accurate 2 bars of this loop. The easiest way to do this is Shift Command L. It puts a little arrow on your play button. You can also find it in the Options menu. Loop playback, Shift Command L, Shift Control L on a PC. So now, if I listen, I have a good groove. It almost just sounds like the music keeps going, but in fact, it's just playing this little phrase over and over and over. If you're working with the working files and you didn't select the right spot for your edit, then go ahead and fix that. Don't be discouraged if you don't select the perfect spot with your first mouse click. You get better as you practice this. Now it's time for a little math. Oh, you didn't say there'd be math. Well, just a little math. We know this is a 2-bar phrase. We counted it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So the downbeat of bar 3 should be where the music ends. And because it's not, we know that this tempo isn't correct. Let me move this back over here. We know that if we click in the tempo field and we move this 3 to where it should be, how's that? Let's zoom in and take a look. Now this blue arrow doesn't mean anything. That's where it used to be. So let's just set a new blue arrow. And gee, that looks pretty good. If all of our clues point to the same suspect, then I think we can pronounce him guilty. And in this case, all of our clues point to 96 beats per minute for this little piece. Now that we know it's 96, what do we do with it? Well, the reason we do this is so we can edit on the grid. We want to be able to make musically accurate selections of the music. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to switch to grid mode. We want absolute. And if we think of this little waveform, this little musical phrase, as a loaf of bread, then we want to make absolutely accurate slices. We don't want one slice to be bigger than another. We want them all to be exactly the same size. And that size is determined with our grid slicer up here. So let's set it for quarter notes. And how this works is, I'm just going to click sort of in the middle somewhere. I click and I drag and nothing happens and nothing happens and nothing happens, and then all of a sudden I get something. So once again, I click and I'm moving, and when I get to about the center region of that quarter note, I get a quarter note. Let me do it again. So I'm going to click here on the grid and then drag a little bit. All of a sudden, I get a region. Or I can get 2 quarter notes back to back, like that. And having selected a piece, we can duplicate it or delete it or move it around. So let's take this first little phrase, this first quarter note, and I'll switch to shuffle mode, and I will duplicate it. Command D 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play it from the beginning. Pretty cool. Let's undo that. And that, and that, and that. Get back to where we were. Let's take the 4th phrase. But see, in shuffle mode, I'm not selecting accurate bread slices here. Let's go to grid mode, and then I can select an accurate slice. Let's switch back to shuffle mode. Let's Command D that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have a different kind of phrase. So now we're editing on the grid. We're choosing musically accurate slices, and then we're able to manipulate them. I think if you tried to do this in slip mode, simply by selecting from here to here and trying to duplicate that, your bread slices wouldn't be as accurate as if you used the grid. That's what editing on the grid is all about. Let me undo this, get back to our original 2-bar phrase, and not select that region. There is a feature in the Edit menu that will slice your region by transients. So we have to select it, Edit, Separate Clip at Transients. Let's do a 0 millisecond pre-separate amount and see if it'll do this. It found a lot of transients. So it's given us lots of little slices, but really nothing that's particularly useful in terms of making a groove. So let's undo that. But right there next to it, in Separate Clip, is On Grid. And once we've selected the right grid, it will slice it into usable phrases. Now there's one caveat here. The grid editing system only works when the tempo of the music doesn't change through the piece. If you're trying this on Beethoven or Mozart that wasn't recorded to a steady tempo, the system's not going to work as well. But for music with a steady rhythm, now you have the power to chop up the music to fit your needs. Because so much of the time library music's too short here and too long there, and this gives you some flexibility to edit it. In the next movie, we'll look at options for editing 2 different music tracks together.